Will the united force of Peter Parker and Wolverine be enough to rescue Mary Jane Watson from the clutches of Orchis? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9, a tie-in to the HELLFIRE Gala, and find out together, shall we? Well, now this is weird, isn't it? This week's brand new issue of Spider-Man is actually a tie-in to the HELLFIRE Gala, even though that story came out in July and we're now here in early September. For those who need a refresher, and God help you if you have not been reading X-Men recently, because if not, everything I'm about to say is going to sound like pure gibberish to you. Peter Parker, in his role as Spider-Man, was invited by Wolverine to Krakoa, the mutants' brand new island stronghold, to be part of the HELLFIRE Gala, a special yearly party celebrating mutant achievement. Peter only went because he wanted an opportunity to have some one-on-one time with Mary Jane Watson. Mary Jane got invited to the party too, because if you read the special Free Comic Book Day issue, you'll know that she was hired by Emma Frost to become the new human spokeswoman for the mutants' brand new line of life-saving medicine. In fact, Mary Jane's own Aunt Anna had her Alzheimer's reversed by the medicine. Of course, it wasn't all good news, because at some point Mary Jane found herself kidnapped by Moira MJ, the former savior of mutant kind turned would-be destroyer of mutant kind, as well as Orchis, a vast world-spanning mutant hate conspiracy that is secretly being run by robots. In fact, Moira used to be human, then they retconned her into being a mutant, and then she got a whole little mini-series wherein she became a cyborg. It's admittedly kinda dumb, and we're still dealing with the fallout from all of it, but all you need to know is that Cyborg Moira used her newfound powers to take control of Mary Jane's body and mind so she could infiltrate the gala. It was in the guise of Mary Jane that Moira had a big fight with her son Proteus, but really she was just trying to get information on the Five so she could sell it off to the Eternals. Ah yes, that's right, the X-Men are involved in a whole other event right now, and yet this Spider-Man story decides to step back in time to do this whole HELLFIRE Gala thing. In fact, the whole timeline of these events get really complex, because after Wolverine and Spider-Man chase off evil Moira MJ, they end up reconvening later on, but Spider-Man is wearing his brand new costume that he got courtesy of Norman Osborn in the last issue. Did he, leave the party, have that adventure with Vulture, and come back? Either way, none of that matters. What does matter is that Wolverine has been following the case closely, and he put one of his top men, Grey Crow, on the job to track Moira wherever she might go through the Krakoan gate. Why did Wolverine not do this job himself? Is he not an expert tracker? Well, you see, before Zeb Wells started writing Spider-Man, he also wrote Grey Crow over in the criminally underrated Hellions book. And honestly, I can't begrudge the man for taking one of his favorite toys out of the box to play with him, if only for a little bit in this story. As we see through Grey Crow's eyes, even though Moira has taken control of Mary Jane's mind and body, MJ is still trying very hard to fight back. Cyborg Moira sets a trap for Wolverine and Spider-Man by having a bunch of armed Orchis agents set up outside the gate they went through, knowing it's only a matter of time before the heroes come on through. Of course, this isn't Spider-Man and Wolverine's first rodeo. They can smell a trap from a mile away, and because of that, they get one of the mutant teleporters to open a portal above the gunmen looking to try and take them out. After they're taken care of, Wolverine says they need to lay low for a little bit. Spider-Man is indignant, not wanting to listen to any of that, especially while someone he loves like MJ is out there in so much danger. It's Wolverine who has to tell him that he had actually attempted to break on through to MJ back at the party and said that all she needs to do is think really hard and the mutant psychics will be able to pick up on her location. Hey, credit where credit is due. I like that Mary Jane is actually an active participant in this story and not just a damsel in distress who needs to be saved. Of course, now that Moira basically got what she wanted, she decides that she's going to throw away the shell that is Mary Jane. At first, I actually thought that she was going to try and keep her human body, but I guess Moira fought so hard to become a cyborg in her miniseries that wouldn't make much sense now, would it? Grey Crow takes one for the team, causing a distraction and getting himself beaten up by Moira's grunts, only for Spider-Man and Wolverine to actually come on in through the floor this time instead of the ceiling. Moira is a tough combatant to be sure. In fact, in this issue we see that she's actually a whole Terminator-style endoskeleton under a bunch of skin now. Spider-Man and Wolverine were sure to bring a special EMP device to the fight to make sure that they can turn off Moira's control of MJ and so she doesn't get hurt in the big fracas. Moira is soundly defeated and opens up a portal so she can once again escape, essentially saying, "Screw this crossover, I'm off to the next crossover, losers." Mary Jane and Peter have themselves a little moment, but don't fool yourself into thinking they're going to be reconciling right here, right now in the pages of an X-Men crossover. Oh no, you gotta keep reading Spider-Man if you want to see that. Mary Jane does, however, drop some rather interesting nuggets of information, saying that Peter could never understand what she's doing with Paul right now because it's a matter of responsibility. Ooh, mysterious. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 9, everybody. And while I didn't overall hate this story, I just kind of sat here scratching my head wondering why this story, why now? The timing just seems to be all off. It's a tie-in to the HELLFIRE Gala, a story that came out 2 months ago while the X-Men are already embroiled in another big event, Judgment Day. It doesn't really do much to move ahead Spider-Man's own solo story. Instead, it just kind of reiterates stuff we already knew. Him and MJ are on the rocks and we don't know why. I know there's going to be another Spider-Man X-Men crossover, Dark Web, in a couple months. Maybe this story got delayed because they want to keep this whole Spider-Man Wolverine crossover fresh in people's minds. As a fan of Zeb Wells' X-Men work, it was certainly nice to see him revisit Grey Crow for just a minute, but that's really all it was, just a small detour that again would go over the heads of people who didn't read Hellions. Also, for some reason I thought this story was going to be a two-parter and it was going to be crossing over with the Wolverine solo title, but everything just kind of gets resolved in 22 pages. Also, while it's certainly not this story's fault or Zeb Wells' fault, man, has Moira McTaggart really fallen from grace. She used to be one of the most interesting characters when this Hickman era of X-Men started, but now she's just another mustache-twirling killbot whose motivation changes from story to story with no real consistency, and honestly, it's quite a shame. Overall, I'd give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I'm personally very glad I recorded this video right after reading the book, because in a couple hours I am not going to remember I read this story. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.